Yeah, with Liquid, this is or with Fnatic in particular, this is one of those things where they, from the beginning, said, okay, we have a new player here that doesn't have any competitive experience, and we need to find our synergy, and we need to find our own style. Since Shrimpy has, at that point, taken over drafting, he took over shot calling, there was so much pressure on his shoulders, and it didn't quite work out. There were problems like coordinating plays, and then the drafts were maybe a little bit too crazy, and so they started to switch things up. Breeze shot called for a week in scrims, and that brought a little bit of confidence on his part too. So whenever Shrimpy is starting to shut down a little bit, Breeze is taking over more. They let Mene draft for a week of scrims as well, just to get a bit of a different perspective there. And then when Shrimpy took over the draft again, he said, hey, I still now learn quite a few from just observing the way that he drafted, what kind of attitude he takes toward it, and now I have also someone that can help me in the drafts whenever there's an issue. So there's a lot of really that flow together over time, and especially after the Western Clash, it was a moment where they said, we're all of a sudden starting to transition our performance in scrims way better into HGC now. We also feel that as a unit we've grown more, it's easier for us to coordinate plays, and it really shows. So that constant improvement from the first week up to where we are now has shown, and now they need to prove that it's enough to take down Team Liquid in the set, because no matter if they make it into that #2 spot, or no matter if Liquid also loses against Method, it would still be an important victory for Fnatic, considering that they want to be at least #3, so that they have to only play one match to make it to BlizzCon through the playoffs.
With so much on the line, it'd be really cool to be able to hear the perspectives of both of these teams. Oh wait, we do have an interview. Let's hear what they had to say.
Fnatic lately has been doing really well, so yeah, it's gonna be a tough matchup for us. I think if both teams show up, like either team can win. Yeah, it's mostly depending on which team shows up that day. So yeah, even if we are coming from, I guess, 2 games lose streak, we're still not worried, and we are gonna do our best to take the series against Fnatic.
After the first phase, I kinda lost hope in the team. Like, I was still tryharding and stuff, but I felt like we are not on the same page and we didn't have the same goal, even though people said it. This phase #2 is like insane for us. Like, everyone is working hard, we are improving. Like, for me personally, I'm not tilting anymore when we lose. Like, I still say some stuff, but it's not like before. I'm not too toxic. I just look to improve and I just do my job in game, so like, it feels very good right now. So about our matchup against Team Liquid this weekend, I would say that considering the result we are doing in scrims right now, we should win them pretty convincingly. They didn't look that strong compared to the first phase. Maybe they will step up because they see us coming for the second seed, you know, and they don't wanna play playoffs. But yeah, I'm confident. I think we can make it against them.
I tell you, I love the honesty out of EU. He said at one point, I lost hope in the team, and he managed to turn things around and have such a dominant performance to round out this season.
That was part one for the lineup changes, not the phase. He means like before the change play.
But still, just at any point, it's just like that is a defeat. But then to turn it around, I just love that kind of honesty in these interviews. But this match to me embodies what I love about competitive heroes. 2 teams that are evenly matched. You can't predict who's going to win. Who wants it more? We're about to find out.
I mean, Mene wears his heart on his sleeve. It's also one of the reasons why, as he said, like, he had to change the way that he approaches a lot of the communications, because for him personally, you can be very direct talking with him, and he's not going to take it personally. He's very critical of himself. So if you tell him that he played awful in the game, he's going to absolutely accept that, and he's not going to see that as a personal attack. But sometimes when he acts that way outwards, he doesn't consider that someone else might not have that thick skin that can deal with that situation. Sure. So he talked a lot about how he changes his own communication to make sure that as a team they can work better. And I mean, you gotta love the guy. The hairstyle is absolutely on point. That's probably the biggest thing. And so the honesty is another one. And they have improved. But Liquid, I mean, the interviews were recorded before the performance of Liquid this weekend came into play. So maybe that changed his opinion a bit, because Liquid definitely looked a lot stronger this weekend than they did last weekend. So therefore, I mean, this is going to be a cool series. No doubt about it. This is going to be a close one.
We're about to jump into it. Game number 1, the Battleground, up for debate to start this series off. Team Liquid is electing to take us to Infernal Shrines. I like this Battleground. This says to me that these teams are going to just be able to scrap.
Fnatic had a bit of a tough time. Interesting enough, on Infernal Shrine so far, it was Liquid's choice, and that makes sense. 6 wins, 3 losses. Fnatic is actually in a weird spot because normally would think this is a map that really works well for them, but they struggled. And this was actually the map where the last time that they faced off against Liquid, had to face a hammer composition and played around it so incredibly well. Liquid never gave Fnatic a fight the last time that they faced off against here, and they just Fnatic got completely out macroed. Since then, they definitely worked on their macro game too. But it's an interesting dynamic that we have this particular map now as the first map of the series right away. Liquid walked away with the victory and the lead here when they first met each other in the first part of Phase 2. So let's see how this is going to be shaken up now, especially also the priority of Tyrande again. Are we going to see early bans, or is this still going to be one of those first pick Tyrande situations?
Well, the way the trend's been going, if there is going to be a ban on Tyrande, it should be, and arguably rightfully so, on the second pick team, which in this case would be Team Liquid. We heard a lot about Hasselhoff's perspective going into this match yesterday. They have certainly prepared. So when they do something like select Infernal Shrines to start off the series, they're going into it with a plan. But at the same time, Fnatic, they are not ignorant of the implications of this match, so they definitely have a strategy.
Fnatic also has shown a lot of new picks or like newer strategies. They brought Ana back into the European meta with compositions that were hinging around Murd and Ana into a Li Ming, for example. But the bans are already becoming interesting here because we're having with the Diablo priority and Hammer being banned out, a lot of picks open at this point. Maiev is still around, just to name one example. We have Medivh as an option. And we're also having, of course, Tyrande. So there's a lot of plays that you can make right now. This is definitely going to be a very, very cool draft going into game number 1.
Team Liquid looks to be potentially testing Fnatic's ability to innovate, opting not to ban out the Tyrande. Sergeant Hammer on his Battleground has a huge impact, I get it. Will we see the first pick Tyrande? No. Fnatic's going to go for another Arrow Slinger. They want the first pick Hanzo.
Hanzo has been shown on Infernal Shrines a lot more. Dignitas was one of the teams that started prioritize him very highly because of the aggressive potential that he has here. And this is a hero on the side of Liquid has been picked now that we normally see banned. Alexstrasza is banned in Europe on Infernal Shrines very regularly, and now even the Thrall priority for Liquid. This is already so cool because Liquid just went in on Thrall even before the Eastern Clash. And then the Eastern Clash happens, Arcana takes also over the draft responsibilities on Liquid, and he already lost Thrall before. Now he sees it at the Eastern Clash having such a huge impact on the Korean side, so Thrall even higher. And they were getting away with picking Thrall for a long time, but now teams picked up on that. So they know they need to get Thrall in the first rotation, because if they don't do that, Fnatic is likely going to ban it away.
A potential foil to the early Thrall pick, in my opinion, is you do leave yourself open to a response like Murd and Yrel. Earthquake, if that is the heroic selected, you normally want that against a low mobility hero like Diablo once he commits to the team fight and Shadow charges in, but Murd can just jump out. Hanzo has natural agility, Yrel can jump also. So if they do go for that heroic, it could have diminished value. The ETC ban, pretty much ignored through large parts of 2018, now starting to show that these are threats too.
Nubarak and Sonya, very aggressive frontline here. Okay, so with the Nubarak, we oftentimes talk about that synergy with Yrel or with Blaze that at least makes sure that he doesn't fall that quickly. If you have a triple frontline though, that changes things up quite nicely. So at this point, very heavy aggression at that front again from Team Liquid. They love that triple melee. It's really one of those styles that they fully adopted. I'm wondering a bit if we're going to have that mage response on Fnatic's side here from them. It's definitely an option with what we're seeing for Liquid right now. And there's the Kel'Thas, loving it. Nena brought that hero back already a few times for Fnatic in the past. Other teams all adopted it. He is great for Infernal Shrines. You're up against the triple melee composition. Kel'Thas, Gul'dan, those were both great picks here for Fnatic, and they are pulling that off right away.
I like that response of Team Liquid. If they do all in onto someone on the back line and they don't get that takedown, the splash damage against the triple melee comp, your girl Vala shows up. Interesting. I didn't think we'd see that. Phoenix was still up, right? Huh.
Yeah. Now again, I'm a massive Vala fanboy.
I know you are.
but I don't really feel her in the meta right now. I really think she is struggling a lot. You see her very, very rarely, more so on the NA side actually. Psystorm Gaming in the open division, for example, now in the Crucible, they love their double support, Tacit Avala compositions. Very, very mixed result with that setup. But now with the solo support and just protected through that triple front line, trying to play Vala here, not that it can't work out, but there's a lot of pressure on your Vala player. She's extremely squishy right now. She's very easy to take down if you get onto her. So I'm very interested to see how much value Arcana gets out of that pick. They seem confident in keeping her alive with the peel that they have through the front. But Vala is tough to play right now. She's very, very squishy and extremely vulnerable.
Well, with the implications of this matchup, Team Liquid is not making this decision lightly. So they have to see some kind of value and reason to take Vala in this instance. I need to personally be convinced. I think it's going to take the front line of Team Liquid to be so aggressive that Fnatic can't even worry about whatever the back line is, whether it's going to be Vala, Phoenix, or whoever. If they are able to be that aggressive and be backed up by the circular healing from Alexstrasza, the Vala pick could look pretty dominating. Otherwise, if Vala gets blown up early, it's going to look pretty rough.
There's a lot of poke on Fnatic's side against the triple front line with Hanzo and especially with Kel'Thuzz. So let's see how Liquid is going to deal with that as the game starts us off on Infernal Shrines.
Over on the left side, looking to take this series, it's going to be Team Liquid. Hasselwabs is on Thrall. Arcana's playing Vala. Infernal will be playing Sonya. Nurak is on Alexstrasza. And Sport Billy will be looking to burrow with a new drag.
And to the right side of the map, a Fnatic starting with Mena. He wants to see the world burn on his Kel'Thuzz. Breeze on Murden for the Storm Bolts. We're having Shrimpy again on Hanzo, as you would expect. Smexy, of course, taking over the support role. They got Kane for him in this first game. And last hope, as we now so frequently see him, is playing Ural.
And they're looking awfully aerodynamic with that haircut and the money pig. He did that for you. I'm confident of that.
Oh, Mena is someone who has accepted the fact that the money pig is the best. Dude, I'm not even kidding. We actually talk about that occasionally. I'm not even joking.
I believe it.
When a new mount comes in, sometimes I get a quick message and he's like, money pig is still the best, right? New mount is good, but money pig is still the best. I'm like, yeah, money pig is still the best.
Can confirm. Right now, we see Team Liquid not looking to be very interested in that 1v1 scrap in the mid lane. Rightfully so, I feel. The full merits of their composition will come later. Fnatic was looking to have that initial blow up, looking to have that scrap, and with so much lockdown in form of Murden, Stormbolt, and then the Gravity Lapse, the root and slows afterwards from Deckard Cain, I expect to see Fnatic look pretty aggressive early on.
Yeah, Liquid with that setup, of course, when they commit, they have to commit fully. This is one of the problems that you run into occasionally if you're gaming for that triple melee setup. It's very difficult. You have very little poke potential. That's basically your issue. Fnatic, they don't run a Junkrat here. They can poke onto the shrine from the outside, but with Hanzo and with Kel'Thuzz, you still have that AoE, you have the Flame Strike, you have those Living Bombs. There's definitely tools for them available.
I'm sure Mene had to really think about it, but he opts to not go for combustion. Feels bad.
That's North America speaking.
I'm kidding. I'm obviously kidding. Smexy is going to be able to get the siege camp down. Bottom, slight experience lead for Fnatic. Sonya's just kind of living their life up top. Left to their own devices. Uriel rotating between top and mid. Fnatic, it seems like they're looking around for the early engagement. You see them roaming around as a tight unit, but Team Liquid, they're not looking to play that game.
Yeah, personally, I'm actually a bit more concerned. No, not really concerned. I'm more wondering what the level 7 talent choice for Mena is going to be. We have actually seen in the past now trying to go for the auto attacks a little bit more on Kel'Thuzz. On 7, you definitely have a couple of options available. Where, for example, with the Sunfire enchantment, you get good value. But then again, you're already looking at the triple melee front line, so Burn Flash looks very, very tempting right now. And I think it's likely that that's going to be the choice for him. Now, Mena is already on 8 stacks on his Mana Addict. We're seeing him with the Netherwind here as the level 4 choice. Also, for Sonya, we have a shot of Yoga actually taken on level 4. Outside of that, nothing too crazy in the choices that we're seeing here.
The more I'm looking at these compositions, Caldor, the more I'm becoming concerned for Team Liquid. They commit pretty early on to the triple melee composition, open themselves up to the potential Kel'Thuzz counter at the back end. Mene is always going to be a fan of that. You throw down a circle from Alexstrasza, and Mene is going to be like, it'd be a shame if I had a splash damage AoE burst style of engagement to respond to that. Oh, wait, I do.
I mean, if you play on this map with the triple melee, and again, Liquid plays a ton of triple melee setups right now. You are aware of what counter picks are. I mean, not only talking Kel'Thas, it could have gone into Gul'dan as well. A lot of the same logic applies to it with that composition, but it's very aggressive, so you can actually go into that backline and try and get that kill against the mage. And Liquid, they know how to play around that. They're very experienced with these particular setups here, and they can dodge out on a lot of those stuns. Early Dragon already from Nurok, popping that. Actually, 27 stacks for them already, so just in time to secure themselves the first objective. Fnatic shouldn't really get too much value here. Dragon Queen is always something that you can use to secure that, and it's one of the reasons why Alexstrasza is oftentimes banned on the battleground. So Fnatic probably very well aware that the first objective wouldn't go their way.
Team Liquid showing enough aggression to come away with the Frozen Punisher. I was impressed by Last Hope's ability on the micro level to just knock a Nubarak out of the Alexstrasza circle. I think later on that could be the difference between someone getting taken down or not. That kind of heads-up playmaking from Last Hope is something that I really love to see. He's the newest member of this roster, and I feel like he's been steadily improving over the course of the year.
So level 7 camels coming in, and that brings us again Arsenal. So Arcana is currently going for that hybrid build where you add mainly multi-shot focus build on level 13. I would say is going to go into the damage reduction because Kel'Thas is going to be a problem, and as expected, Burn Flesh is taken on 7. So it's really just trying to exploit the fact that there are 3 melee heroes that are stacking on the Shrine, that you're trying to get that extra damage out. Makes a lot of sense with the setup that is run on the other side. We're having also a Thrall now with the Ancestral Wrath and Mana tied on 4 and 7. So basically, we had a couple of Thrall variations just recently where the Frostwolf pack is getting taken a lot more often, and then you have the option of following it up with the level 7 auto attack talent, but Hazo Ops is going for a very standard style here. Traditional Thrall build for him.
Breeze could be surrounded by blue health bars potentially if he goes in for the wrong style of engagement. Caldor, right now what I feel like we're seeing is both teams understanding what's on the line here. You win this match, you're that much closer to securing a second seed slot. What I'm waiting for is that first team fight to where the gloves come off and it's like, all right, we were playing this passively, we were just kind of waiting to see around, but now you want to take it there. We're looking to be aggressive. I think it's going to go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in a blink of an eye.
I mean, for Fnatic, it's a situation where in the early game, first of all, they want to stack Kel'Thas, want to make sure that the Mana Addict is completed. That gives them more safety whenever someone dives on him. Hanzo, Shrimpy, similar situation. And giving up the first Protector is really a big deal for them. They know that Liquid, when they make their move, have to commit. And for Team Liquid, it's going to be difficult when they fall behind. And Fnatic is very well aware of that. So you don't want to give Liquid momentum if you're on Fnatic's side. Liquid, on the other hand, they do exactly what you would expect them to. They pop Dragon Queen in fight number 1, secure the Protector, get a tiny lead for themselves. It's pretty much negated at this point already in experience. But once that we are committing to heroic abilities, this is really when the game, so to say, starts. No one is willing to expose themselves early on and to be vulnerable here. It's all about how you're dealing with objective 2 and 3.
I want to see how Team Liquid approaches the team fights going into the mid to late game, because it might just be the NA in me, Caldor, but I do think there's something of an argument for a Leap Sonya in this instance.
I was thinking of the same thing earlier.
If you jump on Kel'Thas and you have Burrow and everything else in, somebody's going home.
I doubt that it's going to happen, and it's not, but it's one of those things that would be fun to see. But yeah, the problem is that if your engage doesn't really work and you're not going to get the kill, then you are very, very weak. And you're already running in a Nubarak. So in this case, you can play around Cocoon. You have a big dive, especially once that Epicenter comes in. But yeah, it would have been fun to see a leap. But to be honest, the chances of that happening right now are pretty low. We're seeing the Rain of Vengeance. So that comes in. A little bit more stuns available here on their side. Phoenix is being played. We've seen a couple of Pyroblast attempts already. It's something that we could pull off here too. Mana Addict on level 7 minutes in completed, and then all of this just happening in time for objective number 1 and number 2.
Hear things say, and the horse you rode in on, and a well-placed Pyroblast, but we will see the Phoenix, 11 defenders, rapidly rising for a Team Liquid who were quick to jump onto the second objective. Shrimpy, Breeze stepping forward, Last Hope on the flank. Baroques are all available. Here's the commitment. The Dragon shows up. A lot of damage is going in. There's the Earthquake to follow up. Swart really is going to be able to back away. The Lorenado is going to separate briefly for the moment to allow Fnatic to collect themselves, and they can look to turn back in.
This looks like another objective for Team Liquid. They're already so far ahead. The aggression against the Nubarak was great, but Last Hope was a bit late jumping in and trying to dish out the damage. So the Nubarak able to tunnel out just in time. And now we have Team Liquid with objective number 2. already heroes are splitting off for Fnatic. They're finding themselves with a push out in the mid lane. That's actually great because that's a lot of experience on lane now lost for Team Liquid. Sonya makes the rotation. He's going to be late for that, but here comes that flank as we're seeing Fnatic now in a 5 versus 4 to the top.
Arcana starting to back away. Last Hope looking to see if he can catch someone out. The Mortar Punisher alive and well with 93% health. There's the Ardent Defender. Not really used at a critical moment. It's a huge cooldown. Team Liquid, they opt to not pounce on that. Good amount of damage is applied to this fort. The Punisher on its own should be able to close out this fort. So Team Liquid come ahead in overall structures. Fnatic, they don't concede too much. They don't give up the first blood of the game. But at this rate, Caldor, they're starting to fall behind pretty steadily.
Loving the rotation into the middle here from Liquid. Realizing that they don't have to push through the top with the Punisher and just rotating mid lane and getting more value there. Half a level, that's what they get out of objective number 2. Part of it comes really down to Fnatic's quick realization that they can push out the mid wave and make it difficult for Liquid to catch up on that experience. So that was a cool move from Fnatic that definitely kept them in experience range, but Liquid has now a lead. Now that lead shouldn't really transfer into anything too crazy. We're very likely going to see objective number 3 fought over with level 13 talents on both sides, but it's definitely one of those things where Fnatic has to be very cautious because they can't really afford to lose another protector and then get snowballed even harder towards level 16 and level 20 talent. So really important that the synergy in the next fight is going to be on point.
Level 13 is here for Team Liquid. With the Siege Camp already picked up, they are looking to claim the second fort of the game. Arcana alone is able to do exactly that. Fnatic is in not much of a position to do anything about it, but there's the long-range Dragon Arrow. Comes from the first phase of 2018. There's the Cocoon onto Yrel afterwards. Team Liquid, they got what they were looking for. They could back away here.
Fnatic was willing to engage into a fight without a talent advantage, blowing a lot of cooldowns there, but Liquid reacting swiftly and able to walk away from that. Now again, one of these fights that you can force when you're throwing out big cooldowns just after a Punisher went down is oftentimes not really of consequence because your heroic abilities will be up for the next shrine, which is the fight you have to take. So throwing out an arrow like this just to see, okay, do we get a hit and can we follow up on it? It's absolutely worth it when you know that you still have a lot of, like a big time window before the next objective spawns. Fnatic saw a chance, tried to take it, Liquid reacted really well. Both teams walk away. We don't have a single kill in the game yet, but Fnatic is going to be ready to fight for the next objective.
I like that even down a talent tier, Fnatic is still willing to test Team Liquid to see if they can get that opportunity. But Team Liquid, like you said, they do respond well, and they just rotate down bottom and try to get ahead even further. Takes down a tower or two. Rotation up top for Valen. Sonya's already up top to catch the soak there. With 14 now picked up, Fnatic, even though they're down 2 forts, have done an incredible job of keeping up on experience.
And Fnatic has great talents coming on 13. The Sustain and Muradin with the healing static, with the Ancient Blessings coming through for the Arcane, that's great. You have cooldown reduction through the Pyromaniac. So there's great talents for them in play now that they can use. Arcana is also going to be happy about that talent since Gloom is going to help him to have a lot of spell armor here, which is fantastic when you're going up against Kalthas and also against Hanzo, of course. But now the next objective is going to pop up on the map. And this is really where Fnatic has to make a bit of a play, because Liquid is playing a great game so far. Very few kills, but good macro decisions, and they get full value out of Alexstrasza's Dragon Queen on every shrine so far. If they can secure another one, they would get a Punisher, and they would also very likely have a level 16 talent advantage pushing with it.
This is the precursor to a potentially huge power play for Team Liquid. If someone clears out the Bruiser camp, having that fort already taken down would allow Team Liquid to win on 2 fronts. They've shown that they've been able to burn through these defenders rapidly, so I do think that they could potentially commit resources, but no, it's going to be all hands on deck. There's the Wrath of the Berserker, a good amount of damage is going on his fort, but there's the follow-up, and that is a black and orange bus running over a Nubarak. Last Hope is going to jump back. Eternal trying to get something going. There's the Dragon Arrow to connect, but so far it's just one person down on Team Liquid.
Good kill, and there's an attempt to go for the second one. Anubarak is down, but Last Hope has to be careful, not popping the Ardent Defender that, but the Dragon Queen has just been used as Liquid is still aiming for that Punisher, and they still have a good chance here. They have that AoE that they need, and they are moving into the shrine. But Fnatic taking that 5 versus 4. They are low though, but they're looking for that kill.
Infernal looking to get involved on the backline, and Mini is like, the joke's on you, buddy. That's the second hero down now on the side of Team Liquid, who are able to snake away the Arcane Punisher, but at what cost? Last Hope is going to close the screen gate on Hasuops. There's the root. He's going to try to sustain, not so much. Continued staggered deaths on the side of Team Liquid, even though they got the objective, could ultimately come back to bite them.
4 kills in total for Fnatic, but Liquid avoids the worst by taking the Punisher for themselves. The value of the Dragon Queen, absolutely fantastic. But of course, Fnatic with the 16 talent have now a lot of tools they can use in the next fight. With the Dwarf launch, for example, with the Fury of the Sunwell, even more damage coming out, and the Piercing Arrows. Great tools for Fnatic, but they still need to get some momentum from this. They have the lead in experience already, and you have to actually put them in perspective. They haven't taken down a fort yet.
Right.
They lost 2, so there's a ton of experience in structures that Fnatic hasn't even tapped yet. If that happens, they have a chance of getting far ahead of Liquid, and that's something that the blue team is going to be worried about right now.
There aren't too many instances where you can say, as you're rounding level 16, hey, we lost 4 heroes, but it's not that bad. The Arcane Punisher showing up, you have to respond to that. If you just leave it and you try to go get structures yourselves, those limbo bars are going to shred through keep walls and everything else. So even though you lose those heroes, even though you stagger things out, the time it takes to clear out the Arcane Punisher still allows all the heroes you lost to come back. So even then, just denying the potential advance from Fnatic is still a win for Team Liquid.
Liquid right now, they have 17,000 damage on Arcana. Thrall is actually the one that committed the most damage, has 300 more than Arcana did so far. But Vala has been playing very safe, and we now have on 16 the choice to go into Manticore, and we have Alpha Wolf. So we have 2 talents that really aim to make Muradin and Urel's life a living hell. Both of them percentage-based, both of them trying to capitalize on the hit point pools. And that is where, especially Arcana, is likely to be more aggressive towards that front line. But Fnatic is starting to push in. Cocoon is out against Breeze, gets burned down. Hanzo with a lot of work here, the stun's coming through. But thanks to the Dwarf launch, Breeze can easily jump out.
A lot of that was just to pose enough of a threat to Fnatic to force them back. Team Liquid, they're not looking to give up forts for free, but they also weren't looking to overextend. There was no heavy engagement on the burrow afterwards, so they're just like, hey, back away. But with so much chip damage, they are put in a position where they do have to concede their first structure.
Here's the big problem. Liquid just doesn't have much poke. That's the downside when you're playing with a triple melee. You have a very nice front to protect your backline, and you also have really good engage on a single target when you're isolated. But it's tough, and if you're in a bit of a standoff where your opponent is poking you down. And Muradin and Urel are nothing to sneeze on when you're trying to get past them into that backline, especially with Lonado also being an option through Smexy. So now, with Kel'Thas and Hanzo, Fnatic is just poking away from a distance against those structures, and Liquid can't really fight a poke battle. They need to either fully engage, or they need to just accept, okay, this is going to happen and stall it out, especially with Dekka just throwing potions everywhere. So 1 fort down, Fnatic taking more of a lead. And I mean, the thought process behind it from Fnatic's perspective is try and get 20. See if you can maybe get that around the shrine. If you take down another fort, that's possible for them. It's 1.5 levels, shrine activates in 20, so unlikely to happen, especially since Liquid is going to make sure that they're going to go in and pull the trigger. But this is definitely Fnatic aiming for a very early Storm talent compared to their opponent.
Between the Mana Shield and Decocane Sustain, Kel'Thas is going to look like 2.5 warriors in this composition. So the further aspect of trying to blow up Kel'Thas at the beginning of the team fight, we saw it not necessarily work out over the last objective. Team Liquid, they might have to go to plan B. Sawab's out on the flank, looking to get involved. 7 defenders already racked up, stolen away from the multi-shot from Arcaner. They do get 3 so far. Spear goes out on the Breeze. Nurok out on the flank. Once we see that Dragon show up, that's when you know Team Liquid is looking to play.
Nurok is so far in the back because he doesn't want to get hit by an arrow, and now he goes for the Dragon Queen. Again, and Uberak gets an Uberak as he goes down, and Infernal might follow. Keeps himself alive for now with the nerves of steel, but he falls. Sonya dead, so is an Uberak. And we have the Cleansing Flame being used by Nurok to try and keep at least the rest of the team alive, but they are on the run, and Hazovs might be the third to fall.
Numerak didn't even get to press the Cocoon key before he gets taken down, and that's going to be the 3rd in this team fight. That is more than successful for Fnatic. They'll come away with the Frozen Punisher, and now with these longer death timers, level 20 around a corner. Fnatic, they could be looking at the first keep of the game. If they continue to stagger these deaths out, Kaldor, they could be looking for more than that.
I would have loved for one of them to actually just drop 1 spell onto the fort in the mid lane just to get the early level 20.
Ooh, yeah.
Now they're going to get that anyways through the towers nearly. They have to get a little bit more, but that would have been great if they would have secured that too. Either way, they have that 20 right now. They were close though, could have taken it, but as you said, they want to end the game right now. It shouldn't really matter too much. 10 seconds until Thrall is back, and someone needs to bait that Punisher now into the middle, or Fnatic is just going to core right away.
Frozen Punisher is going to get baited towards the middle portion of the map. Wrath of the Berserker goes out. Schwimpy finds himself the brand new recipient of a spear, but Infernal's eating so much damage. The follow-up poke, he only needs an auto attack or two, but Nurak is going to be there. The stun on the Smexy could potentially stall the advance, but the shield is starting to go down. 60% still on the Frozen Punisher. Kaldor, they are looking to end this game.
They want to, and Billy is already low, so is Infernal. Both of them are eating a ton of damage here. Liquid is losing hit points on the core as Fnatic is trying to go in. 7 kills against 0 thus far. Fnatic with a 2-level lead going straight in, dropping the core as Muradin falls. This is game Fnatic taking the 1-0 lead in the series.
Fnatic in this game said, Team Liquid, you guys have been looking pretty comfy at number 2 spot, but actually that's ours. Thanks for keeping the seat warm for me. I love seeing that kind of aggression. Going into the game, Kaldor, you and I were questioning or wondering where the full value of the Vala pick will come out. With 0 take, or just a 1 takedown as the core was falling, I think we saw that maybe a different range assassin could have been better.
Yeah, they were trying to win it through shrines, so establish the shrine control. Keep Nurok safe and also Vala. You could see that every single fight, Nurok was insanely far back. Like, he was so far back because he knew the entire time that Shrimpy was looking for the arrow. If that arrow connects, then he's the first to fall, but he has the potential to keep everyone alive there. And they did actually a great job getting those Punishers. It's just that when they secured Punishers, they lost heroes. They couldn't really get kills. And that was just a problem with, you have Urel with displacement, you have a lot of survivability through the heroic ability to take out Kane with the Lornado. All the Fnatic had to do was, whenever the front line collapses on someone and the back line tries to get the damage out, deny that 1 kill, play around that, and just capitalize on them having used their cooldowns. And Fnatic had better poke, so that helped when they were starting to siege up on structures. It was well played. Liquid's plan was there, and I mean, it was nearly successful. If you keep that momentum up a bit and you keep winning these Punishers, you can make that work. But as Fnatic transitioned into the late game, they got way more powerful with the talents that they got, and then they took more control over the shrine, and once they began winning Punishers for themselves, Liquid just had a tough time standing there.
With the race towards the end of this season, even 1 game could have huge implications. Taking a look at the standings, just 1 game is definitely going to shake things up. Team Dignitas, they're just watching this from the top of their tower, just like, oh, I'm curious to see who's going to go to BlizzCon with us.
Now, let's take a closer look at this. Liquid has 2 losses has 3 losses right now. Fnatic has currently 5 losses, so do leftovers. Method is already just like fallen off a little bit. For anyone to take over the number 2 spot, what needs to happen is that Liquid needs to lose 2 matches. Liquid only plays 2 more matches. It's the match that we're watching right now against Fnatic, and it's the match against Method. So for Fnatic or for leftovers to take over the slot, Fnatic first of all has to beat Liquid now, and Liquid needs to lose next week against Method. If Liquid wins any out of the 2 matches, they are number 2, no matter what else happens, no matter the scores. If Liquid loses both, though, then we're talking all of a sudden about the map score. And because Fnatic has such a fantastic position with their +8 already, they have a very good chance if they win this series to overtake Team Liquid. And especially if Liquid loses both, because you have to imagine that then they lose at least 2 points. Fnatic is getting a few more, so if you do the math, Fnatic would take over that spot. For leftovers, it's harder because their map score is not really that great, but leftovers are looking more at a position where they would love to take the number 3 spot. And as we heard from Mopsio, they would also prefer to face Team Liquid in playoffs compared to facing Fnatic in playoffs. So for leftovers, they would love if Fnatic would take the direct route to BlizzCon so that they feel they have a better chance going up against Team Liquid when it's playoff time.